Yo, what's going on, y'all? All right. How was your first, official work session? Hopefully, you got some stuff done. I'm doing some post radio show promo work right now. Like, I post to, like, Twitter and Instagram and stuff, like, that the show is up, the recording is up, and you can check it out and things. So I still have to. My co-host wasn't able to make it this week; he's out of town, and so the stuff that he does during the show, I'm going to do today, which is like tagging the artists, on the tracks we play, and kind of let them know, we're showing support. You know what I mean? Let them, I'm really big on showing support to artists. You know what I mean? To let them know, hey, the stuff you put out there, you know what I mean, people are checking out, so and appreciate. So, all right, cool. So we're back. My bad. Yes. So we are back, and for another break session, and so I figured to kind of give a example of the type of things I was talking about for, like, the show and tell lightning talk thing. So figured I would talk about something that, oh, by the way, don't forget to, like, stretch. This is the break session. Don't You've been working for like 40 some odd minutes, and so this is, time to stretch your legs, walk around, what have you. You know what I'm saying? And yeah. All right. So, like I was saying, so I came across. I've known about this thing before, and only now am I really using it. Like, I'm using it in a current project I'm working on, which is going pretty well. I'm almost done, and so I'm hoping to have it released like this week for people to check out. You know what I mean? And so to kind of stress test it. But neither here nor there. Let me. So if you're familiar with it, you know the awesomeness of it. If not, then hey, here's something new you can put into your repertoire. You know what I mean? Your bag of tricks when you're creating projects. All right, so now this is called, now it's clamp from a CSS function. And it seems to me like CSS is becoming more and more like a programming language. In that wild? So people are always like, oh yeah, CSS and HTML aren't programming languages. Like, if a computer reads it and then spits out something, I think that's some sort of programming language. You know what I mean? And so this is cool. Let me make this. Let me get rid of that. How do I? Oh, my keyboard is too wide. I thought I was hitting to hide the thing. I was pasting the whole time. All right. So speaking of paste, I'm going to copy this link to the MDN docs for clamp, and I'm gonna place it in. It's going to be along with the video, so you can check it out and for yourself. All right. So this is clamp. I'm not sure how many people are familiar with it, but when I came across it, I like to check out MDN docs all the time and just kind of look for things, and saw this, and I thought it was kind of awesome. So the clamp, and now see CSS function. So it's like a programming language. It's amazing. It's amazing. Clamps a value between an upper and lower bound. So you're able to set like a max and min for a value that you want to kind of contain, right? And so clamp enables selecting a middle value within a range between a defined minimum and maximum, basically what I just said. It takes three parameters: a minimum value, a preferred value, and a maximum allowed value. So you have the least that you want to do, the most that you want to do, and the thing that you're hoping for, kind of like the thing that you would like the whole time. But you're setting like a lower and an upper bound, like limits. And the clamp function can be used anywhere. The clamp function can be used anywhere a length, frequency, angle, time, percentage, number, or integer is allowed. So things like the height of your project, the width of your project. You show here the font size of your project. Now it says time. I've never tried that. That's kind of interesting. So you could set, I don't know, I've never tried that. And then like angles and stuff. It's kind of amazing. So anything where you put in like a length frequency. So even like, I guess, if you have like a timer, you can set in between when you want the timer to happen. I wonder how that works. Maybe something I'll try. But yeah, so the example here is that, all right, so you see this font here, right? And so let me see if I can inspect element. Let me see if I can't make this thing. Let me see. Yeah, it's not changing. Okay. I thought I could do it here, but so you see here, clamp 1 rem. They want 10 VW. So the minimum is 1 rem. That's the smallest you can go for the font size. The preferred is like 10 VW, so 10 times the view width. And then at the most 2 rem. All right. So depending on where we're at, so we would like the 10 VW. And so now you can see, so you see here, check out this one. This is 1.5 and 4, and then you want 2.5 VW. So you saw how that changed? That's pretty cool. And it's all within the same width or what have you. So if you made the viewports bigger or smaller, you would see it change. But I can't do it here. Let's see. And then right there, you saw I got smaller. I don't know. Pretty cool stuff. So note that using clamp, and this is where I used it. I used it in my new project for this. For font sizes, as in the examples, allow you to set a font size that grows with the size of the viewport, but doesn't go below a minimum font size or above a maximum font size. It has the same effect as the code in fluid typography, but in one line and without the use of media queries. Because before, if you wanted to have your fonts to, because let's say you want the font to be a good size, like a nice big font, like the header or the title of the page, you want that big on your website, right? But then previously, if somebody was looking at it on a smaller, let's say a mobile device, that huge font would take up a lot on a smaller device. So what you'd want to do is have it, it's called fluid typography, to where as the screen size gets bigger or smaller, your fonts can also do the same. And so that way they don't take up, it doesn't look weird on different sizes. Because if for you, so let's say you start on a mobile size and it's big there, but then when you make the size bigger, it's super tiny, right? The text. And so with this, you can do that. So before you had to use like media queries and all these things, even like JavaScript, I think at times to get the things, but I think you can just strictly media queries. But now you can do it all with just one line of code, and it will automatically like calculate the viewport size of the screen size and do it. It's kind of, and then it'll set the minimum and maximum boundaries. Like it's making decisions. You know what I mean? Like that's, I don't know. For me, that's kind of awesome, and it's kind of like a programming language. Like, and there's so many things coming in CSS that will just kind of blur that line anymore. Like it's kind of amazing. So all right, so now talk about this. So then they talk about the differences between like max, because there's also in CSS there's min and max, right? And let me see here. Okay, here we go. So the comparisons between max, min, and clamp, right? So now where are you? Okay, so min, right? What min does, so this is how min works. You put in like the maximum that you're willing to do, and then this is like the calculated part. So this piece of code here says means the width will be set at 1,000 pixels, right? Unless the results of the calc, which is another thing, calc, like it calculates. It's amazing. But if it's 70% of plus 70% of like the width of the screen plus 100% or viewport is less than 1,000, in which case it will be set to that value instead. So if your thing here is 1,000, like you want it to be 1,000, that's the max. But then if the calculated value, let's say it gets less than the max, less than 1,000 pixels, then it will calculate the value and then set it to that. So min actually sets the maximum value. So it's the minimum between these two different values. You see what I'm saying? So this value here is the maximum, and then the calculated is always going to be less than that, right? So it's the minimum. So it's always going to choose that. So this is like the upper bound, and then this is everything underneath it. All right, cool. Now, max is the opposite, to where you set the minimum that you want the thing to be, like the smallest it can be. And so it'll always choose anything bigger. So like the 1.2 VW. So if at the any point, so 1.2 rem is the minimum that your thing is going to be. And if 1.2 VW view width is like larger than 1.2 rem, then it will select that because that's the maximum value between those two, right? So max actually lets you set a minimum value. So it can kind of get confusing or whatever. But with clamp, instead of having to set those two things like min and max, with clamp, you could do that all in one line, one command. And so with the clamp, and for me, it's a little bit easier to read. So the first value is the minimum that your value is going to be. Whatever the property, whatever CSS property you're trying to set, the minimum value is going to be that first property, that first value, the 1.8 rem, as it here's in this example. The next, the 2.5 VW, that's your preferred. That's what you would like it to be. You know what I mean? For like all sizes. All right. And then 2.8 rem is the maximum that you want it to be, no bigger than that. And for me, I think that's a little bit easier to read. So it says here that this means that the font size will be set at 1.8 rem until the computed value of 2.5 becomes greater than that of 1.8 rem. So that means 1.8 at its smallest. But if 2.5 VW, which is, you know, the variable width, like of the viewport, if it becomes bigger than 1.8 rem, then it will go to that calculated value. And it's so it will be 2.5 VW until 2.5 VW's computed value becomes greater than that of 2.8 rem, which is the upper limit. And so at that point, the font size will be set to 2.8 rem. And so clamp allows you to set a minimum and maximum value. So that's cool. So just with that one thing, you can set the lower bound and the middle bound, and it will fill in everything in between. How cool is that? Automatically in one line code. So I've been using this, like I said, on my project that I'm working on now, because I have like different headers, and I want them just to be on one line, right? Like the title of the section. And so I don't want them to go to two lines. So I have it where it will get smaller as the viewport gets smaller, and it will stay on one line. You know what I'm saying? And so it's kind of amazing. You know, I mean, you could go to like very, very small, but you can't read anything at that point. So I have it to where it's like a normal minimum width. And it's kind of amazing. I think it's cool. And I just wanted to talk about it. Clamp CSS. And that's it. So that's kind of like an example. And I totally forgot to do any sort of actual stuff here. So I forgot to do highlight. I got so enthralled with the CSS clamp function that I just totally forgot to do anything. So so I'm just going to do a bunch of random clips here. And so, but yeah, isn't that cool? Like just by setting that, you see how it just changes? I think that's kind of amazing. And so I find that super, super cool. So I'm interested. Have you ever used clamp before? And if you have, what did you use it for? If not, is this a thing that you think would be kind of cool to use? What would you want to use it for? You let me know. And again, I think it's super cool. Now let me get back here. Stop sharing my screen. So yeah, again, the link to this Mozilla Developer Network document will be in next to the archive video in the link list. All right. Stop sharing my screen. Get y'all ready to go back to work. And again, thanks for hanging out. Hopefully you found that interesting. and get you back to work. Let me just do this here. Cool. So again, thank y'all for hanging out. And yeah, I thought Clamp was super cool. I'm using it in my project a bunch, especially for like the fonts stuff. And yeah, I think that's it. So we're gonna be out of here. So again, thanks for hanging out. We're gonna get this traveling music going. Where is it? Okay, here we go. Switch over to this. Cool. And then this is a track by Anthony Cruz, aka A Butta. And again, it's called Thank You. Thank y'all for hanging out. See you 15 minutes after the hour, I wish you much productivity and cool. Be back. Thanks again, y'all. See you soon. All right. Oh, got to share my screen here. I'm going to get back to this radio show promo stuff. I'm actually doing laundry as well at the same time. So I'm trying to get a bunch of stuff done. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, here we go. All right. Thanks again, y'all. See you soon. Oh, wait. Let me do the clip thing here. And then I'll do the create highlight video. Cool. All right. Thanks, y'all. See you soon. 15 minutes after the hour. Peace. Oh, and don't forget to sign up for show and tell if there's something you want to show. And otherwise, I'm going to go over an artist's website that we play on the radio show. And maybe you'll discover a new favorite artist. All right. So see y'all later. Bye.
I want to say thank you for holding on when a brother was down and out. Now I feel so strong, and I want to say thank you for being there when a brother had nowhere to turn to. You were there, and I feel like hell, and everybody says hell. We spread it love like hell. I want to say thank you for holding on when a brother was down and out. Now I feel so strong, and I want to say thank you for being there when a brother had nowhere to turn to. You were there.